Good evening, this is Scott Von Helt, Seconder, here at the Yogi Tree Center for Growth for our 20-somethingth Caravan of Souls gathering. And tonight I'm experimenting again with Facebook Live. We did this last month, and I've been live streaming these on and off over the last 2 years through various mediums. We've tried live stream, we've tried Google Hangouts and YouTube Live and things like that. But here we are on Facebook Live, the newest trend, the newest hot thing. So I've been using it lately a lot for giving a daily bowl of sake reading and things like that. So just figured I would go ahead and chime on right now, and you can all join us for this evening's Caravan of Souls. I have a couple different things in mind for tonight. I'm just going to kind of go where the Spirit leads me to go. But I'd like to start with the Sufi invocation of Hazrat Inayatiyya. Toward the One, the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the only being, united with all the illuminated souls who form the embodiment of the Master, the Spirit of guidance. So tonight I wanted to share a few things about unity. I feel that we're in a very tumultuous time in our world. We always are. There's always tumultuous things going on in the world. But I feel that this is a very interesting time where we're seeing a lot of shift and a lot of change. A lot of people that are really trying to connect and unify. We're seeing a lot of things where destructive things in the world, things where we're racially or politically separated, separated by our beliefs, our lifestyles, sexual orientation, things of that nature. All this separation takes away from the unity. But a lot of times out of these separations or these acts of separation comes unity. You know, I think of 9/11 and how we as a nation all came together, and there was this deep love for America and love and respect for our fellow man. And it lasted maybe a good month or two, and people really showed this unification in so many aspects throughout the United States. And then, you know, of course, over time it trails off, and things go back to normal, and a sense of that unity is kind of lost. But you know, as I think about the things that just happened in Dallas, I don't even know all the details about it, but I know there was a shooting in Dallas and some police officers were killed because of some racially motivated things, and someone that was shot in the presence of the police. Things like that. You think of the Orlando shootings, you think back to Istanbul a few weeks ago, or Turkey. And you know, France, of course, earlier this year. All these different acts of violence and different things that separate humanity. And we're trying to find ways to reignite and reconnect, to bring a sense of unity back into the world and unify ourselves with our divine nature as well. So there's a lot of different aspects of unity. So I have a couple things that I might share this evening. I've kind of led to a few different passages from Pure Merchant Hazrat Inayatiyya that I would like to share. And I think the first one I'm going to start with is from the Gathas. This beautiful little yellow book here. This is one of 14 in a series of a 14-volume set of the Sufi message of Hazrat Inayatiyya. These are a grouping of lectures and sayings and phrases and things that were collected over the years during his work. And you might recently have heard of these little yellow books. Muhammad Ali was a big fan of these books. They were one of his favorites, and his daughter recently did some interviews and credited how much of an influence these little yellow books had on him. So I'm going to share something here tonight, and this is from the Gatha. This is about symbology, and in a section called Naqshbandi. And this is titled An Ocean in a Drop. The wise have given lessons to the world in different forms suited to the evolution of the people at a particular time. And the first and most original form of education that the wise gave to the world has been symbolical. This method of teaching has been valued in all ages and will always have its importance. That is not beauty which is not veiled. In the veiling and unveiling of beauty is the purpose of life. Beauty is that which is always out of reach. You see it and you do not see it. You touch it and you cannot touch it. It is seen and yet veiled. It is known and yet unknown. And therefore, words are often inadequate to express the beauty of truth. Therefore, symbolism is adopted by the wise. The religions of the old Egyptians, of the ancient Greeks, of the Hindus, and of the Parsis all have symbols which express the essential truth hidden under a religion. There is symbolism in Christianity and in all the ancient religions of the world. Man has often rebelled against symbolism, but it is natural. Man has also always revolted against things he cannot understand. Pardon me. There have been a wave of opposition to symbolism in both parts of the world, East and West. It came in the East in the period of Islam, and in the West it re-echoed in the Reformation. No doubt when the sacred symbols are made as patents by the religious people who wish to monopolize the whole truth, then it gives rise to the tendency in human nature which is always ready to accept things or reject them. However, one can say without exaggeration that symbology has always served to keep the ancient wisdom intact for ages. It is symbology that can prove today the saying of Solomon, "There is nothing new under the sun." There are many different thoughts relating to human nature, to the nature of life, relating to God, and his many attributes, and relating to the path towards the goal that are expressed in symbolism. To a person who sees only the surface of life, the symbol means nothing. The secret of symbols is revealed to the souls who see through life, whose glance penetrates through objects. Verily, before the seer, the things of the world open themselves, and it is the uncovering of things in which a hidden beauty. There is a great joy in understanding, especially things that express nothing to everybody. It requires intuition, even something deeper than intuition, insight, to read symbols. To the one whom the symbols speak of their nature and of their secret, each symbol is a living manuscript in itself. Symbolism is the best way of learning the mysteries of life, and the best way of leaving ideas behind which will keep for ages after the teacher has passed. It is speaking without speaking. It is writing without writing. The symbol may be said to be an ocean in a drop. You know, the great mystical poet Rumi speaks of this when he says, "We are not a drop in the ocean, we are the whole ocean in a drop." And if you think about this symbology, this symbolism, if you take a drop of water from a dropper and you drop it into the ocean, it becomes the ocean. It merges with it. It's not separate. It's not a separate little drop of water that's just floating along in the water. It becomes the ocean. And all things that are in that ocean dwell within that same body of water, in which that drop is now a complete part of. Now, if you extract that drop from the ocean, it's still the essence of the whole ocean. It's contained within a smaller portion or a smaller container or a smaller expression of the whole, but it's still the whole. It's still the same ocean. You know, within our hearts, within our souls, within our being, all that exists is there. You know, I grew up in a really strict Christian home, and my feeling, or my understanding actually, was always that God was somewhere far off. We pray to God in heaven. We look to the sky when we pray. We do all these things to bring God in from afar. You know, in Sufism we say God is closer to us than our own jugular vein. Or we're closer to Him than the fish are to the water, when the fish live in the water. So when we think about these types of things, when we think about this kind of symbolism of merging and uniting in unity with our fellow man or our higher being, our higher self, it's all one. We're all connected. When you breathe in a breath, you're breathing in the same air that surrounds the whole atmosphere of the universe, or the earth. There's another great phrase that, you know, it doesn't rain in one land, or the sun doesn't only shine in one part of the world, because God's gifts are for everyone to enjoy. So when you think of things on a global scale or a universal scale, where can we find more unity? How can we step out of our own little drop and be the whole ocean? I think this is really extremely important to think about this and to experience this. And I kind of feel like maybe, if you would, join me in a very short, brief meditation on this thought. So if you will, just close your eyes and focus on your breath. Let it fall as it may, to whatever natural rhythm feels right for you. If we want to further substantiate that connection to the energy of water, we can do an elemental breath, connecting with water energy, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, giving that waterfall, cascading like cleansing, flowing feeling of our breath. And imagine, if you will, for a moment, that you're a drop of water. Maybe a little eyedropper. And you're being held above the ocean in this little eyedropper, and you see yourself as separate from the ocean. You only recognize yourself as this small drop. But then as the dropper is squeezed and you drop your little drop into the ocean, you merge with the fullness of the ocean and all that's within it. And as you now merge with the ocean, even here on this transmission, this live broadcast, reach out and see if you can feel everything else within the ocean. See if you can feel me, my energy through this transmission. Maybe you can connect with the others that are sitting in this virtual room. And if you really rest that feeling in your heart of expanding your heart, how far can you reach out? Can you go past this little lagoon that your drop is floating in? Span out to the deeper parts, farther depths? Maybe feeling connected to other oceans and other large bodies of water throughout the world. Embracing all that's in your presence, all that's in your being. When you think of all the life that lives in an ocean, all the seen and unseen creatures, creation that dwell in this massive body of water, you're connected to each one as part of this vast ocean. Take a moment and center in your heart. This place, this space in the center of your chest. And think for a moment, how far can I expand my connection and my unity with all of humanity, with the universe? It's easy to reach out and connect with our friends, feel love, kindness and compassion for our friends and family, people in our immediate circle or surroundings. But can you expand this feeling out to your neighborhood? And from your neighborhood, maybe out into the whole community or town. See if you can expand this feeling out farther to the whole state, or maybe the whole of the country, wherever you live. And can your love and connection and unity with humanity span farther than that? Beyond those borders, to other countries, to indigenous lands that haven't even been discovered. Maybe beyond to other galaxies. Beyond the nebula, the expanse of stars and space, to whatever rays of light or life may exist. Rest in that expanse for a moment. Feeling the connection to all life, all that dwell in that great expanse that you just opened up to. Still retaining your own identity, your own being, but now not contained to that single drop, but really being and living that ocean of existence. And as you open your eyes and you come back from this short meditation, can you hold that expanse? Can you keep that same width of the heart that holds all that life and all those beings that you've connected with in this moment? And how long can you sustain that? How long can you feel that? That unity in the multiplicity. You can open your eyes when you're ready. You know, my favorite phrase, and what really led me to this message and this path, is the idea that we all have our own note within the symphony of the universe, that we all have our own each individual unique note. And it's important to recognize our own note, but it's important to recognize the importance of our note within the whole symphony, and that the symphony is a perfectly crafted composition given to us as a gift from the divine creator. So I urge you this evening to contemplate and think about unity. Find ways that you might be able to unite, not only with other people, with other people of other races, other religious backgrounds, other personal orientations in life, but also with your divine and higher self, with your true nature. Now, I often define myself for years as a musician, and that's what I love to do. It's what I do in my heart, or what I could call my love note. But I'm not defined by that. That's not who I am. That's not what I am. I'm a ray of light coming from the divine light, the light of guidance, the pure light of guidance. And if I can remove the veil, or remove the things that stand in the way of that ray of light shining through me, then I can too become that same ray of light. And if I can shine that light just as brightly, I can help other souls to find that light within themselves. And think of the illumination that we can create when we all see ourselves as a ray of the divine light. And the unity that could come from that. When you think of each individual ray of light that comes from the sun, it's all still the sun. It's all still that one source of heat and light and sustenance. It's the same thing, expressed in individual rays, but it's all the same light. So with this in mind, thinking of unity, and thinking about how we're all connected in that way, I think it's important to just expand on that and try to express our true nature in that manner. I think I'm going to share another short passage here. This is also from Hazrat Inayatiyya Khan. Pardon, my foot's falling asleep here. This is from the Unity of Religious Ideals, which is a lot about the same thread of truth that comes through every religion, and how that same thread of truth has come through the ages in different forms and in a different way and in a different message. But it's all been the same message, the same thread of truth. Truth can only be one truth. But there are many ways to realize truth and many ways to see truth, many different windows that we can look at to visualize that. And I think in line with why I chose unity tonight, because of the turmoil and things going on in our world and the apparent separateness that we have, I felt this was a very fitting thing to share. So from the Unity of Religious Ideals by Hazrat Nayathan, this is the present need of the world. Now you have to keep in mind, this was written probably 105, 110 years ago, and very relevant still yet today. If one truly observes the present condition of humanity, no one with sense will deny the fact that the world today needs the religion. Why I say the religion and not a religion is because there are many religions existing today called a religion. But what is needed today is the religion. And now coming to the question, what the religion must be. Must it be a new religion? If it were a new religion, it could not be called the religion. Then it would be like many religions. I call the religion that religion which one can see by rising above the sects and differences which divide men. And by understanding the religion, we shall understand all religions which may be called a religion. It's a little paradoxical there, but it's a little easier to understand here. I do not mean that all religions are not religion. They are the notes. But there is the music, and that music is the religion. Every religion strikes a note which answers the demand of humanity in a certain epoch. But at the same time, the source of every note is the same music, which manifests when the notes are arranged together. All the different religions are the different notes, and when they are arranged together, they make music. You may ask why at each epoch all the music was not given only a single note. The answer is that there are times in the life of an infant when a rattle is sufficient. For the violin, another time in life comes. During the time of the Chaldeans, Arabs, Romans, Greeks, different religious ideals were brought. To the few, music was brought. To the many, only a note. This shows that this music has always existed, only that man, in general, was not ready to grasp it, and so was given only one note. But the consequence was that the person who was given the C note and the other person was given a G note fought together, each saying, "The note given to me is the right note." There have always existed souls who have said G is right, and others who say C is right. All are right notes. And when they are mixed together, then there is music. This shows that there is an outer substance of religion, which is the form, and the inner essence, which is wisdom. When wisdom has blessed the soul, then the soul has heard the divine music. And the words of Christ, "I am Alpha and Omega," what do they mean? That it was only when he came as Jesus. No, that music belongs to Alpha and Omega, the first and the last. Those who turn their hearts to listen to music, tuned their hearts to listen to music, who elevated their souls high enough, they heard the divine music. But those who played with their rattle, their unique note, they disputed with one another. They would have refused a violin. They were not ready for it. They would not have known how to use it. Today the world is starved more for religion than ever before. And what is the reason? The reason is that some simple souls, attached to the faith of their ancestors, held their faith with esteem, considering religion necessary in life. But many souls, with intelligence and reason and understanding of life, rebelled against religion. As the child, when grown up, throws away his rattle, he is no longer interested in it. So today the condition is that religion remains in the hands of those who keep it in its outer form, out of devotion and loyalty to their ancestors. Faith, and those who are, so to speak, grown up in mind and spirit and want something better, they can find nothing. Their souls hunger for music, and when they ask for music, they are given a rattle. And they throw away the rattle and say that they don't care for music, the soul's music, and without it, their life becomes empty. How few recognize this fact, and fewer still will admit it. The psychological condition of humanity has become such that a person with intelligence refuses the music. He does not want the music. He wants something, but he calls it by another name. Now this is in the words of Hazrat Inayatiyya Khan. I will tell you my own experience in the Western world, traveling for 10 years. I have come in contact with people of intelligence, thinkers, men of science, and in them I have seen the greatest yearning for that religious spirit. They're longing every moment of their lives for it, for they find, with all their education and science, that there is some space empty in themselves, and they want it filled. But at the same time, if you speak of religion, they say, no, no, speak of something else. We do not want religion. This means they only know the rattle part of religion and not the violin. They do not think that a thing exists which can be different from a rattle, and yet there is a perplexity in themselves, a spiritual craving, that is not answered even by all their learned and scientific pursuits. Now, therefore, what is needed today in the world is reconciliation between the religious man and the one who runs away from religion. But what can we do when we see, even in the Christian religion, so many sects, one opposing the other, and besides the Christian, the Muslim religion, the Buddhist, Jewish, and many others, each considering their own and thinking the others not worth thinking of. Now to me, these different religions are like different organs of the body, cut apart and thrown asunder. Therefore, to me personally, it seems as if one arm of the same person were cut off and rising to fight the other. Both are arms of the same person, and when this person is complete, when all these parts are brought together, then there is the religion. Then what is the effort of the Sufi movement? To make a new religion? No. It is to bring together the different organs of the one body, which is meant to be united and not thrown apart. You may ask, what is our method? How do we work to bring about reconciliation? By realizing for ourselves that the essence of all religion is one, and that the essence is wisdom, and considering that wisdom to be our religion, whatever be our own form. The Sufi movement has persons belonging to many different faiths among its members. Do you think they have given up their own religion? No. On the contrary, They are firmer in their own faith, their own religion, by understanding the faith of others. From the narrow point of view, fault may be found because they do not hate, mistrust, and criticize the religion of others. They have respect for the scriptures that millions of people have held as sacred, though those scriptures do not belong to their own religion. They desire to study and appreciate other scriptures, and so to find out that all wisdom comes from the same source, the wisdom of the East and the West. The Sufi movement is therefore not a sect. It can be anything but a sect. And it has never become one. It would be quite contrary to the idea with which it has begun, because its main idea is to remove differences and distinctions which divide mankind. And this ideal is attained by the realization of the one source of all human beings, and also the goal, which we all call God. So, you know, a lot of people might consider me a very religious person. For years I said I was spiritual. And I shunned that idea or notion of being a religious person. But when you understand the true nature of religion, that's when you can claim it as your own. But at the same time, you have to realize that it's all one. It's all connected to one source and one thread of truth. So it's my prayer this evening, it's my hope that you will find your note within the symphony of the universe, that you will find a way to harmonize yourself with all of humanity, and even furthermore, find your own religion, find that light under your own cover of your own belief. You know, you can have a light and then you can put the cover over it and call it Buddhism, or put another globe over it and call it Christianity, or another globe over it and call it Islam. But when you take away that globe, there's that one light. It's the same light, the same source, same thread of truth. So I encourage you to find that for yourself, or just maybe chew on some of the things that I've shared this evening. I do appreciate everybody chiming in and joining in and taking the time to listen and to take on this brief meditation. I'd like to close this evening with the prayer Khatum and a brief closing song. O Thou, who art the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the Lord of heaven and earth, open our hearts that we may hear Thy voice, which constantly cometh from within. Disclose to us Thy divine light, which is hidden in our souls, that we may know and understand life better. Most merciful and compassionate God, give us Thy great goodness. Teach us Thy loving forgiveness. Raise us above the distinctions and differences which divide humanity. Send us the peace of Thy divine Spirit, and unite us all in Thy perfect being. Amen. May all beings be well. May